I'm back. Yeah, so my main point of that first video um was pretty much to say, so God wanted me to do something that I didn't think that I was worried about doing, because I did not feel that as if a minister that's been a minister for 40 some years was going to listen to a nobody like myself. That was not the point. God wanted to know if I was going to do what He asked me to do. And in January, I kept putting it off and putting it off, and I did not do it after our last day, because we never went out there, so I let it slip past me. So yesterday, when he kept slapping me with it, and you're gonna call it your stepdad? You're gonna call your stepdad? And I kept getting slapped with it yesterday, and I finally understood last night. It was not the point of me calling him. Was not the point of what I even said to him. The point was I finally did what God told me to do. He wanted to see if I would do it. He wanted to see if I had faith enough in Him that He was going to be with me as I did what He appointed me to do, which was to call my minister, being my stepfather, through Douglas, because it's his mother's husband. She remarried, so it's his stepfather. So he is, in all actuality, my stepfather-in-law. And like I said, he has his family, his sons have all turned down the road of ministry. They've all walked down that path. They all have their own, I don't know if they have their own church or how God has settled that with them, but his family is all godly. So I felt, coming from me, that would be like low. Coming from someone who has ran from God as many times as I have. That was the point, though. I have ran from God when I was younger, many times. And I have not been ashamed. I have said it how many times. I ran from His calling. It wasn't so much a rebellion from Him. I rebelled against my mother. And in the cause of rebelling against my mother, I rebelled against Christ. Well, God wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to rebel against Him anymore. And by doing the hardest thing possible, going to a higher clergyman and asking him, and making it family member, because that's just, and on Douglas's side of the family. On top of that, because but I finally did what he asked me to do. And after I finally did what he asked me to do, it became clear to me it was not the point of me doing, because Pastor informed me, yes, he knows that the end is drawing near. I don't believe he thinks that we are as advanced as what I believe. But everybody has their own opinions on where in the end times we are. I personally, I think we are on the fourth trumpet. Getting ready for the AC to go, ah! Well, he wouldn't do it in an angelic voice. He'd be like, I am he. But, that's where I believe we are. Just waiting for him to poke out his pointy little devilish head and say, I am here. All satanic and all, you know. But having faith in God was the point behind it. Because I told him I would do no matter what he told me to do, that I would not lose faith in him again. And I won't. One thing you got to keep in God is your faith. Talking about that, Douglas's work is the reason we were able to keep our rent. They cut him a check for the rent for last month in February. And then they'll take a little bit out of this check and a little bit out of that check. So that's how our rent got paid for last month and this month. Who provided that? Our electric bill. Well, they gave us $600, so we only had to chip in a couple hundred extra. So, which had to push our electric bill and our cable bill, push that off. Which that's next. Still being in wintertime, you got your 10-day grace period. We get paid on the 15th. The 10-day grace period for the electricity ends on the 16th. So I will be able to make the payment on the 15th. And I just called the cable company today. It's the same with them. As long as I make the payment by Friday, they cannot turn our cable off. So, I'm good to go for the next week. I can't believe this week has already flown by as fast as it has. We only have one more week to go, and then it's payday again. This week has just flew past, but Douglas has been working a lot of overtime this week too, and I've had extra. That's made it worse this week, so. So, yes, this is about faith. It's always been about faith. At the end of the game, you'll finally be able to black box war. As long as you have faith in our Father, He will give you everything and anything that you need. And if you have faith as a mustard seed, anything can happen. Guess what I'm going for next? Yeah, I want to have mustard seed faith. I know that our Lord is coming. And I know what my path is. Faith. Faith, my brothers and sisters. Faith. Don't lose faith. Faith is the most precious thing in the world. And I'm already at 12 minutes. Oh, faith. Don't ever lose your faith. It's one of the easiest things to lose, and it's one of the hardest things to get back. But it can be one of the easiest things too, because all you have to do is, and yes, I know, oh, how can you just say put everything in God's hands? How can you just give up like that? You're not giving up. You're giving in. There's a difference. You're giving into His will. And sometimes that's what He wants. To give up and give into His will. And so I will be back with the daily study after this. Don't lose your faith in God and Jesus. They're there. Look all around. You say you can't see Him. You just haven't opened your eyes and looked. He's everywhere. Even sitting right next to you right now. Love you, my brothers and sisters. Don't lose that faith. Keep your faith.